Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
And so we're going to talk about contraception. I know that you think, or you say that it's a sin, or it's a mortal sin, is it? Or
Well, contraception, when people are married, we're talking about married people, it's considered a mortal sin to be using contraceptives, which means you're interfering with the potential of bringing a person, a new child into the world. You can practice other safe methods that doesn't involve contraception as regards not having too many children if you're not able to afford to bring them up properly, assuming that you're yourself and your wife are Catholic or Christian.
I think you're referring to the Billings method.
Well,
I think that's what it's called.
Right, yeah. Well, haven't heard about that expression now for many a long year.
There you go now.
But I mean, this is the thing, and it's but this business of the contraception that's mentioned here by the Minister for State, a fella called Fein, Feighan, Fein. He wants to. Minister for State, he's probably in the health end of it, and he wants to introduce free contraceptives for girls and women from the age of 17 to 25, because you're not supposed to have sexual relations with a girl at 16 or under. It's regarded as rape. And though I don't think that's properly imposed nowadays, even if it's known, we're in a very peculiar society. But this is what this minister proposes. Now, from the Catholic point of view, assuming a person is a practicing Catholic, that is a no-no, especially for single people, because it means they're going to be sexually active with people that they're not married to. How are you going to have a proper marriage if that's what you indulge in? The men, or the males and the females, it's a recipe for disaster. So nothing is free. There'll be a cost to that, to their well-being of their soul, that they could lose it. Because you can go down that road and never get back to the sort of a spiritual way of life. So that is something that should be condemned by the bishops and the archbishops and the priests. But they have taken a vow of silence in these matters, to their eternal shame. That is their job. But so John Malone and the Christian and Jobs Action Party were not really a political party, were more of a Catholic and Christian outlook. And so I say to Mr. Fein of Fine Gael, you have a terrible thundering cheek to be putting children down the wrong road, especially women, girls and women. There's other things that you could maintain, and that is for them to try and practice some spiritual understanding of who they are, because their time on this earth is fairly limited compared to their time in eternity. So think of those, Mr. Fein, and stop putting women astray and giving them free contraception. In other words, encouragement to live a sexual life outside marriage, which is not permissible. Whether it's done, and it is done, it's a mortal sin. There's no other ways about it, and it would behove the archbishops and bishops and priests to come out with this. But will they? Because the churches now are closed again. This government seems to be adamant on having such a high risk for this virus that has apparently come to the country since last February, and they're going from Biddy to Jack, closing the country and that. And at the same time, aside from that we're talking about there, one of the ministers in the Green Party, which is making up this coalition of opposites, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Green Party. Now, he proposes to bring in water charges because, I forget what he said, there's more demand for water than since they're supposed to lock down. People are at home now. They might be drinking tea and water for all we know. We don't know what they're drinking. So he comes out with that. How is people that's not working and that their jobs might be gone forever? How in the name of God are they going to be paying for water? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes, yes.
So here we are. This is the sort of a crowd we have running the show. One fella wants to give free contraception to women. We know we have in this country now, with the same government, Fine Gael and independence, the like a Zapone, a foreigner and an atheist and a farmer witch, a minister for children. So we see where they're coming from. They want to destroy society. If there were a foreign government, there'd be a revolution. But they're local, and so they're inflicting this type of thing. There's a lot of other good things they could do for the betterment of human beings and the better of those in their charge. But it certainly doesn't include free contraceptives to women from 17 to 25. Did you ever hear the like of it? I mean, when I was young, because of the war that had been on, we got free half pint of milk in school. Many a family had milk that might have been not being able to afford to buy much milk. So at least I had to have a pint every day. We got a half a pint of milk in school to bring up our whatever it is that we were deficient in. Do you see where I'm coming from? Mm-hmm. So there was a bit of good. And don't forget, in schools them times, there was religious education, and you were examined very thoroughly on it. So some children that mightn't have had much religion in their home life or much instruction got it in school. So they had a foundation. So you had a very stable society. In my young days, there was none of this sort of stuff. Free contraception. Do you see the way it has gone downward? And that's downward. So John Malone and the Christian and Jobs Action Party says that is an awful thing for this Fine Gael Minister for State, Féin, to do. And I hope that the bishops and archbishops of this country speak out against it. But who'll report them? Who'll listen to them now? If you're silent for too long, nobody passes any remark on you. They've been silent in 2 referendums by way of abortion and same-sex marriage. You can't afford to take a vow of silence on that. If you're an archbishop, you've got to instruct the flock. That's your job. Otherwise, your own soul is at risk. See where I'm coming from?
I do. So
that's what I'm saying, that these are matters that are now into the fore. We don't know what's around the corner from this crowd is in. If it wasn't for this COVID, or whatever they call it, this virus, I don't think they'd have anything in common. They wouldn't last jig time. Yeah. And maybe this is why they're locking the country down all the time.
It seems to be the bomb that brought them together.
Well, as far as I can see, this is why they can't agree. Martin is the Taoiseach, but as far as I can see, Varricker, the deputy leader, or Taoiseach as they call him in Gaelic, he could be the man that's in favour of these type of things, because he's speaking about things like that, and he's speaking as much about Martin, the so-called leader, Prime Minister Taoiseach, stroke teacher, Taoiseach. So who's running the show? And then you have the Green Party coming out of the traps talking about water charges. Do you see?
I do.
So where is it going to end? Who's going to pay for the water charges? Because people are not working.
It sounds like an idea I wouldn't worry too much about. It'll go up in a puff of smoke, because we can see what happened with the last. If there's one thing Irish people will not pay, it's water charges, for whatever reason. Okay.
Well, he mentions that in Dublin, which of course with all the development of the houses, the reservoirs that they have is not enough to deal with it, so they'd have to do something to drag water from some other county, from the Shannon, and drain the Shannon, I suppose.
Would it not make more sense to focus the housing outside Dublin.
Of course it would.
And the
other
infrastructure
counties.
outside Dublin.
Correct. But then a lot of towns have expanded. Navan, for example, is completely different than it was years ago when I used to be in business and one thing and another. It's that there's more houses out in the suburbs. It's nearly like a city.
Yeah.
There must be houses enough there for about up to 40,000 people.
Oh, Lord.
And this is when, by the way, a lot of them is occupied by people from other jurisdictions, not Irish. Even houses that council houses are houses that were earmarked for councils, you've got people from foreign countries getting them as well. So we're in a very funny country, and this is another thing that the Varricker, this Fine Gael leader that they have to their eternal damnation, in my view. He wants to he wants to sort of do the sort of things to this country that we're not able to afford. He's not a practicing Catholic, and he's quite the reverse. So he's putting this country down a very bad, dangerous road, and his party is at the same rank as this fellow Fane is Fine Gael. So he'll be encouraged by Varricker about this free contraception. Nothing is free. Anything that's free, there's going to be a cost, and the cost here is their immortal souls.
Yeah.
And women shouldn't be put into that position. As a matter of fact, the reverse should be done to try and encourage them to develop their spiritual life.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much, Oliver.